for this Wednesday. It's the 6th of May, and we welcome to the desk Wayne Perry, who is an international sound healer. And to be totally honest with you, Wayne, I don't think any of the three of us have ever heard of a sound healer before.
I know that we get up at around 3:30 every day, or Lou gets up earlier, and we work a 4-hour show, and we need healing. So any healing is appreciated.
Anything you can do to help.
Yes.
We can explore that if we have time.
Okay, what in the world is a sound healer?
Well, a sound healer, sound therapist. I'm not just a sound healer, but I'm a certified sound therapist, and I've founded and I'm director of the Sound Therapy Center of Los Angeles since 1992, and so I work with people in the vibrational sense, because everything, you know, if you study a little bit the new physics, I mean, you don't have to be a scientist to understand that everything is frequency, and the frequency of any matter determines its form and density. So the easiest way to understand it, we're not so concerned with, you know, maybe fruits and vegetables and animals or whatever, but look, the human body, for instance. What would you say is the most dense, or if you want to use the word solid, the most dense or solid part in the physical body?
By your head.
Well, more specifically, what
Skull.
part of your head? There you go.
Yeah.
The skull, you know, and the bones and teeth. That has the most density and form.
Okay.
So that's sound, literally sound, and it can be measured. They measure the pulsations, the very subtle vibrations, and the sound, of course, is below the hearing range. People think because it's sound, they hear it, but you know, most sounds are above or below the hearing range. So that as that example, the bones and teeth are low frequency sound, way below the hearing range. Now, if you step that up and look at the part of the body, the tissues, organs, skin, muscles, that sort of thing, that's sound also, but it's sound that's vibrating at much faster frequencies, so it changes the form and density. Now the form is a little more malleable. You can stretch muscles. Massage therapists work with the muscles. Chiropractors work with the ligaments and some of these tissues. So the skin stretches. So now you have some malleability in the form, and the density is altered because it's a higher frequency of sound. Okay. And then you step it up to the fluids in the body. The blood and water in the body is much higher frequency sound. And you say, what's the shape of one's blood? You know, it's determined by the skin and the skeletal structure. You can't. It's because now we're in the realm of what's amorphous. So now the form has become such that it's amorphous. If you poured a pitcher of water on the ground, you couldn't predict the form it would take. It might make a puddle, 2 puddles, a string of droplets, and so the form is drastically altered because of the higher frequency of that particular matter. And the density is such you can put your hand through water. So this is a little example of how the body is literally made out of sound. We live in a
So you're saying material
universe.
Things are just sound?
Yeah, this is scientific physics. I mean, they know that there's no such thing as solid matter. We have the technology now, high-powered microscopes, to look. Everything is vibrating. You know, there is no such thing as solid. You know, and a better word is density, actually, than solidity.
So if you vibrate, say, bone or tissue or fluid at whatever frequency it resonates at, it's in some way therapeutic. Is that what you're saying?
Right. Well, for instance, what I described is just the physical body, but you're more than a physical body. You have an emotional body, you have a mental and psychological body, and you have the soul, which is a spiritual body. So this is higher and higher frequencies. The soul, the spiritual body, is the only one that's an infinite frequency. It's a drop of God. It's like a drop of the ocean. You know, you put the drop into the ocean, what happens to the drop? Becomes the ocean. There's no difference between the drop and the ocean. Well, that's some of the metaphysical applications of understanding sound. The soul, you know, eventually merges with God, and it becomes one with it. So you can work on any level. That's what attracted me to sound healing and sound therapy. Is I work with people on the physical level, the emotional, the psychological, and the spiritual.
And how do you do that? How do you heal somebody with sound?
Well, the first thing I usually do, the most effective and accurate thing to do, is to do a diagnostic analysis, diagnostic voice analysis, because the voice reflects what's in the brain, and your brain is the home office. It's basically running the body, and within the brain, it's multiple frequencies. It's mostly water. It's a higher frequency because it's mostly liquid, the brain. But anyway, the important thing is that your whole body mechanism. It's like the computer hard drive or whatever is in the brain, and your voice reflects it. And if frequencies are present in your brain, they'll be present in your voice. If they're not present, if they're dormant in your brain, they'll be dormant in the voice. So I learned, 22, 23 years ago how to do diagnostic voice analysis and when I studied bioacoustics, which, by the way, bioacoustics is the study of the frequencies that emanate from organisms, from life, their life vibrations. And so I put people on a microphone, it's plugged into a chromatic tuner that gives me a digital readout of both the note frequencies and the octaves. Those are the two things I need to do an effective analysis. And in 20, 30 minutes, I can tell exactly where they're weak or strong, physically, emotionally. It's all in the voice. And every person has their own unique signature frequency pattern. No two people are alike. Just like we all look a little differently. That's a result of our signature frequency. But that's just the physical part, but we're complex beings emotionally and intellectually. And so all this is stored in the brain. And so I chart it out by hand while they're talking, and I'm asking different categories of questions that target different parts of the brain. Memory things, visual, how you see shapes and forms. There's about 5 or 6 categories of questions that I've developed over the years, and I developed a chart, to outline the octaves and frequencies. And I've been doing this, like I say, 23 years. And I charted out the information, and then when we're finished, I make recommendations. There's basically 2 aspects of the healing process. One is, and I should say this up front too, is my work is about self-empowerment, teaching a person, like the old saying, you can give somebody a fish or you can teach them to fish. Well, I take the approach, the new paradigm in healing is about people taking their power back from mainstream medicine, allopathic medicine, where people go to the doctors for years and depend on the doctor as some kind of god to heal them, and that's not what their job is. Doctors have a great role. I mean, I'm a walking miracle of not only sound therapy, but even modern medicine. I mean, I could tell you my story if there was time. It's phenomenal. I mean, I've healed myself of liver disease, lung disease, kidney disease, pulmonary hypertension, hepatitis C, which they said was incurable. I've healed it all with sound therapy.
Well, people have a chance to visit and find out a little bit more about this tomorrow night.
Yeah, we're doing a presentation.
This is where it's going to be at the Unitarian Church on Bell Avenue, 7 till 9 o'clock tomorrow. It costs you $10 to get in, and then they have the big workshop, same place over on Bell. It's going to go from 10 in the morning till 7 in the evening, Saturday and Sunday. That's $3.95. But just to get a taste of it and see what it's like tomorrow night from 7 to 9, Unitarian Church on Bell Avenue. You're going to be there. You have a website in case people want to check you out on the web, too.
Yeah, it's just WaynePerry.com.
WaynePerry.com.
Now, you used to be a singer in Chicago way back in the day.
Not used to be. I'll be doing a concert tomorrow as well. First, by doing the concert, then I'll be doing a sound therapy demonstration of regenerative sound.
Well, how did you go from being a jazz singer in Chicago to realizing that you could
Well, that's
sound?
A big story. I'd be happy to tell it to
okay.
you.
I would just say there had to be a moment in your life where you realized.
Well, I moved out to California in search of the proverbial record deal, like so many singers and musicians. And I found that the record industry wasn't something, I didn't like the people, I didn't like the industry, I didn't resonate with it. And so I was stuck. I went to Vegas for a while and sang with a 10-piece band at the Riviera Hotel, and I was doing radio things in LA, and I finally decided I didn't want to live in Las Vegas or the desert. I stayed and I went into radio, and I had a radio show for 4 years on KCLA. And I started just as an announcer, got my foot in the door, and I eventually had a show on Friday night, and I became the music and film critic on the show, and I had a talk show called Heart Touch. Well, originally it was Star Touch, and I interviewed celebrities. I had Lily Tomlin on, and Timothy Leary, and the Manhattan Transfer, and a lot of, but I didn't want to be another Jay Leno or something. I was interested in the people that were really making a difference in the world, and I sought out shamans and healers and ones that were legitimate, even some psychics and that were really doing good work. And I would screen them, pre-screen them. I had people in my living room channeling Sananda and different entities. It's crazy. But I was like a kid in a candy store. I'm fascinated with that stuff, and I could separate the wheat from the chaff and find good people and had it on the show, and it got more and more popular. And this was before Oprah, by the way. I was the first in Los Angeles.
One thing led to another. But again, if you want to get some more information on this,
meet the man.
tomorrow night, make sure you take advantage of this. Only $10 to get in. 7 to 9, Unitarian Church on Bell Avenue. Then the big workshop Saturday and Sunday, 10 till 7, Unitarian Church on Bell. Wayne Perry, very nice to meet you. Thank you so very much
and
for
this
being
is
here.
my book, Sound Medicine. They can get online if I don't know where the camera is.
Right
but
there.
that's,
Perfect if you want more information.
Sounds great. Well, thank you so much for being here.
all right, thanks for having me.
It is
Appreciate it.
9:40.